let's take a look at the foramen associated with the different cranial nerves. The acronym I like to use is choose one special relationship over independence. Joe, Heather, matrimony. Now, obviously, if Heather and I get divorced, this is going to be a really crappy acronym, and I'm going to have to come up with a new one. But for now, it's going to work for me, because if you take the first letter from each of those words, you're going to have all the different foramen that we're going to talk about. So, C, the first one, is going to be the cribriform plate with the ethmoid bone. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. This is going to have cranial nerve 1. So our olfactory nerve. Then we get to the O. That's going to be the optic canal. And that's going to have cranial nerve 2, our optic nerve. Now on this picture, it doesn't really show it well, but right around here on both sides, you have a bit of an opening here, so I'm going to draw it in very poorly. And that is the S, so that is the superior orbital fissure. It's a much longer word, so we know there's going to be more structures in it, or that's how I remember there's going to be more structures in it. So within the superior orbital fissure, we have cranial nerve 3, which is oculomotor, cranial nerve 4, the trochlear, cranial nerve 5, and cranial nerve 6, which is abducens. And cranial nerve 5 I kind of passed over because it's just going to be the first branch, so there's a little one there, cranial nerve V1. So in the superior orbital fissure, we have cranial nerve 3, 4, and 6 that all go and supply the eye, as well as cranial nerve 5, the first branch, the ophthalmic branch. Then we get to the R, and I forgot to black it out, but here we have the foramen rotundum. So we've already done cranial nerve 5, branch 1. We're going to have cranial nerve 5, branch 2. We get to the O for choose one special relationship over, and we've got the foramen ovale. And that's going to give us cranial nerve 5, the third branch. So we've already gone through half of the cranial nerves, roughly. And we've still got a few different foramen to get through, but a couple of them are going to be pretty big ones. So we've done the O, now we're on to the I of independence. That's going to be the internal acoustic meatus. And again, just like the superior orbital fissure, it's got an extra word, so I always use it to remember that there's going to be more than one cranial nerve in there. So there's going to be cranial nerve 7, facial, and cranial nerve 8, vestibulocochlear. Now the J should be hopefully obvious to us because we talk about it so much in class, but it's going to be the jugular foramen. And with the jugular foramen, one way of remembering is if something happens there, you may have to call 911. So 911 means that it's going to be cranial nerve 9 through 11. So cranial nerve 9, 10, and 11. It's important to remember it also has the jugular vein in it. So in terms of drainage of the head and skull, that jugular foramen is going to be really important. With the H, it is going to be the hypoglossal canal, and that's going to be cranial nerve 12. So we've done all the cranial nerves, sort of. The only thing left is we still have the M in matrimony, and that's going to be for the foramen magnum. And the reason I'm adding it in is because there are branches of cranial nerve 11, that accessory nerve, that go through the foramen magnum. And so, if there's something going on with the accessory nerve, you have to make sure that you're looking not just at the foramen magnum or the jugular foramen, but there's going to be supply from both of them. So that is the cranial nerve foramens, an acronym for it, and what each one will supply.